Thank you very much, Chris, for the very warm introduction. And being here today, I want to appreciate the invitation from Interest and also sharing this very important process and how far we've been able to take the steps forward in terms of harm reduction. It was not very easy when we started this process 20 years back or 25 years back. It was very hard to mention harm reduction. It was very hard to mention methadone. It was very hard to mention key population or people who use drugs because of the way criminalization has been. It was very easy for us in Kenya or me coming from Mombasa to buy heroin from the street of Mombasa than to buy sugar from a supermarket. You need to queue, you need to go to the counter, pay, but it was like this to buy heroin from the street of Mombasa. So there was no services. There were no options or choices that presentation yesterday that we have been given to explore and see where we can be able to get service. I want to declare that I don't have any conflict of interest in this. Kenya, of a population of 45,000 plus people, that we've been able to see these interventions very hard to get within the area because of different challenges, the demographic features, having the Kenya being in the coastal part of it in Kenya that has more support within the infrastructure that makes it very easy for heroin to come in. And also within the East Africa, we have seen a lot of challenges of moving from one country to another, and also the bringing of heroin within the country. With this, we've been able to see how the challenges that we've been able to see from the initial age. We've seen at the age of 16 to 20 years of people that are using heroin or starting to use drugs at the initial ages from the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This has made it very difficult for us to be able to penetrate. Having a population of 27,000 plus people who are injecting, we needed the interventions at that time that we didn't manage to get. But with the support from different partners, we've been able to have 10 civil society organizations which are working at the ground to be able to support the people who use drugs through the support from Global Fund, through the support from PEPFAR. We've been able to see the opiate substitution therapy scaling up from nothing to at least 13.3% that we are giving services to people. And also it was very hard to have naloxone, a prevention mechanism for overdose within the community. People who are dying, there was no proper medication that can be used. At least now we have take-home medicine. We have from the facility, from the community, from the civil society organization that we can be able to put this together. With this, with the package that which is widely appreciated from WHO, UNAIDS, and UNODC, we've been able to see all the 9 essential packages. The 4 which are very important in HIV, prevention and also transmission, the opiate substitution, needle and syringe program, HIV testing, antiretroviral, and the other packages that are also offered within the country has shown that Kenya has taken a robust process in terms of giving choices for people who use drugs, giving options of people who use drugs to be able to go in, get the services, and also see how best they can be able to access within their community and the areas that they're serving. We want to appreciate the support from Global Fund. USAID has been able to give us support in terms of the initial stages of implementation and also currently going on with the services. With this, the journey that we've been able to implement since 2005, we've been able to see communities going to the field, outreach workers, peer educators, without any support, without any needle and syringe program, without any medically assisted therapy, just talking, just engaging how they can be able to use their needles in terms of cleaning them well. But within this journey that we've been able to do, we have seen that the country has also given big support in terms of how the issues of harm reduction has been initiated at the National Strategy for HIV Prevention. We've seen the national government also coming in to see how best we can be able to have the needle and syringe program, medically assisted therapy, and this was started in 2015. 10 years of advocacy, 10 years of talking about harm reduction, talking about leaving no one behind. It took us 10 years to be able to have the first initial medically assisted therapy in the country to be able to provide that service. So there was no choice at that time. 20 years back, 25 years back, you were taken to mental units, you're taken to prison, you're taken to police station. Myself, I spent 3 nights at the police station because of distribution of needle and syringe. It is not allowed in the country, but with this initiative, with this support, we've been able to see now the country moving forward in terms of the proper HIV prevention mechanism, and also acknowledging the decrease of incidence of HIV within the process by providing clean needle and syringe to people who use drugs, and having options of services that can be able to do. And also now reaching to the alternative to incarceration and leaving no one behind within the criminal justice system. As they are getting their sentence, they also should be getting the service. With this, Kenya we have been able to at least integrate our services by having the national STI HIV response, and in our HIV response to have the guidelines. We've been able to have the standard operating procedures for medically assisted therapy, needle and syringe programming. With this also, within the 47 counties that we have this decentralized service provision within the country, we've been able to have 2 counties which have been able to produce bylaws that can be able to support. And what Chris has mentioned here, how have we been able to also integrate within our counties? So we have seen 2 counties that have come out clearly having a bylaw that can be able to bring in the support. With this also, we've been able to see how we can develop a sustainable harm reduction business plan, so that we can be able to have local and domestic support within our country to be able to take the interventions, to be able to keep the interventions going, and also make sure that we have the services beyond donor support. Within this, what we've been able to do in terms of HIV testing, we make sure that every person who is coming into contact with drug using gets the services, the packages in terms of HIV testing services, opioid substitution therapy, needle and syringe program, and also overdose prevention, so that they don't miss out in any of the services that are being given in the country. Within this also, comprehensive community outreaches. We are not waiting for people to come to service, but going to them where they are to give them services and to be able to address the human rights barriers that are within the area in terms of engaging the leaders, lawmakers, religious leaders, and opinion leaders, which have contributed a lot in terms of community leadership and also support. Peer-to-peer model has been one of the key elements in terms of reaching out and also penetrating with what the discussion has been in the morning, that we really need to invest in our peer education, in our outreach program, so that we can be able to have a ripple effect in terms of HIV prevention. What we've been able to do in terms of the benefit, we have seen the reduction of HIV incidence among people who use drugs, the reduced risk behaviors that are there in terms of sharing, the risk behaviors that have been able to be reduced in terms of providing medically assisted therapy, increased ART uptake in terms of integration, reduced criminal rates in terms of harm reduction provision, especially in medically assisted therapy, that is OST, to be able to bring them back to options of services, having them go into programs, and this has also yielded to the reduce of criminal rates. Lastly, with these robust processes, we also have challenges. We also have obstacles that are also hindering us in terms of legal and policy barriers. Of course, we have the bylaws that are supported, but also they've not been able to put in the resources and finances in these bylaws. So it's really hard to have that policy work in terms of the areas that we are coming on to. Community resistance, yes, of course. Engaging the community has been very hard. The areas that they don't appreciate the harm reduction program, but with the extensive engagement, we've been able to penetrate through different areas. Funding limitation, of course, everyone has talked through this conference that the diminishing of funding and resources, we need to look into how best we can be able to have our local means to be able to support. Stigma and discrimination remains at the peak of the challenges in terms of accepting people who use drugs, bringing them in the table, giving them opportunity to make decisions, sitting in the implementation, and also in the monitoring and evaluation. With this, I want to appreciate all the people who have been able to support this presentation, and thank you very much.